Hello, guys, and welcome to today's question and answer sessions. I'm just going to do another one since it's Friday, caught up with a lot of my work, and I feel that another question and answer session is something I'm more than happy to do for you guys who've done the free SEO course and have these beginner questions that you want answered. So, any questions, put them in the live chat. No question is too stupid. Ask it. I will be more than happy to help you here. Now, the reason I do these question and answer sessions once or twice a week is I get inundated with questions in my inbox on a daily basis, and it does become overwhelming, and I can't answer everyone and all of that stuff. So, this is the perfect place where you can actually ask those questions because I don't like ignoring people, but I get tons of inboxes on a daily basis asking me some of the most basic stuff that you could actually probably Google and get the answer to. But sometimes people just want it reaffirmed, and doing the question and answer sessions just helps a lot more people all at the one time rather than me individually trying to respond to people, which is just not best use of my time. So, not being ignorant, guys, it is something that does become tedious and rather annoying, if you're going to do that. So, yeah, get your questions on here and I will be more than happy to answer them. I'm going to be here for an hour, so make sure you get your questions in. Also, let me know where in the world you're from, and also make sure that you do give us a little like and subscribe on the channel. That is really important to make sure that I get the best engagement metrics and everything else. We have people here, Mr. Paul Hogden, good afternoon. Hassan SK, Gary Patterson, how am I? I'm very well, mate. How's the comp going for me? It's going along nicely. Probably not done as much as I would have hoped. But I'm also very aware that people will probably be watching my particular website, and I'm not doing that much in the way of on page just yet. I'm going to slam that very, very hard in the coming weeks. Just doing some off-page stuff just now, building up some metrics, and then I'm going to slam it hard, and hopefully that strategy is just going to allow people not to replicate what I'm doing. They might not; they might be doing their own stuff anyway, but yeah, it just gives them little opportunity or as little time to implement something, and hopefully I can win. So I'm all out to win, Gary, man. So fingers crossed. Holly Starks is in there as well. She's an absolute animal. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting. But there you go. Hassan, no problem at all. Always happy to help newbies and clearing any doubts or dispelling myths or sharing mistakes that I've done or trying to point you in the right direction or whatever. So always happy to help and make sure that guys don't waste the same amount of time I did, because you get old and grey very, very quickly. So yeah, try to help people not fall into those traps. So yeah, ask any questions, Hassan, that if you've got any other doubts, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Keep your powder dry. My powder was all blown up last night, Mr. Hogden. Guy Fawkes had a fireworks display in my garden, and I absolutely hate fireworks, but it was good fun. It was good fun, not going to lie. But there you go. Guys, make sure you ask questions. Mark is also here, another regular. Good to see you, Mark. But yeah, guys, put your questions in the live chat. Now, if you don't see me answering your questions, I know in recent times that some of the questions from Facebook certainly haven't been pulling through here. So make sure you do try and jump on YouTube to ask the questions if it's not coming through and I'm not answering it. But there you go. Jesper Nissen, good to see you, man. Thank you for coming along. If you've got any questions, do put them in the chat section and I will answer them as much as I can. And as I say, remember and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. But you guys are really quiet today. I know it's a kind of off the cuff, not a lot of notice session, but you guys are real quiet, man. You must have questions. Liam Quirk, good to see you, mate. Any questions for me? Do ask them. Yeah. But yeah, ask away, guys. Give me something to do. George Trapalis, good afternoon to you as well. Nice background there, although it's a little cloudy, but not as bad as Scotland. It is an absolute shit show here. It's cold and very much in the winter months now, so rather depressing. Gordon Carslaw is going to kick us off, so that's the questions start to come in. Just make sure you guys keep the questions coming. Looking ahead to 2021, what is the number one thing to focus on, if there is one? I mean, that is going to be one of those where you have to say it depends on what you do, and you know, what's the number one thing to focus on. You know, if you're in an agency, you might be trying to build up your side hustle, or you might be in an agency, you want to scale that agency. So there's no real one thing to focus on as such. I think, you know, we all of us have to focus on, you know, just creating better content, doing more of it, because you know that's the main thing when you look at anyone's website. You know, everyone's got different weaknesses and different angles and different points and everything else. So yeah, it really depends. For me, more videos, more everything else that I can do is going to be my main focus, and then see where it goes. Moneymaker, you don't mean to call me out here, but I'm still waiting to hear back from you. I do apologise for that. There was a question that you did ask me, or whatever it was, and I have completely forgotten about it. I will get back to it right after this show. Just get so you guys know, when people message me via email or Facebook and all that stuff, I do get an overwhelming amount of messages, and people think that it's quite cool for me to sit and answer questions all day for free. So they do get lost, and I do tend to forget just because there's an overwhelming amount. But I did promise you, Moneymaker, so I do apologise, and I will have a look at it. After this show, I will make sure that it's my priority to answer that. But this is also a great place to ask questions, so you can also ask here as well, and I'll try and answer it here if you do want to share, and we'll do it publicly. But never try and call someone out for free advice. I think that's, you know, that becomes irritating when someone says, "Oh, you didn't answer me." I know I said I did, and I do apologise, but when someone says, "I'm going to call you out because you never gave me that free advice," does come across as rather annoying. I'm going to be honest with you. So yeah, but as I say, I did promise that, and I did promise to look at it, so I will do that. But obviously, free help, don't follow, don't be calling people out on that. I don't think that's a good thing. But there you go. Jesper Neeson, I'm doing SEO for a website with large amounts of articles. What kind of schema would you suggest to include in the text pages? Again, it depends. You might want to do FAQ schema. You know, if there's going, it depends on what that text is and the intent of that text. You know, FAQ schema works really well because you get those little boxes underneath. You take up more of the landscape. But it might be if you're doing a lot of reviews, then review schema might be better for you. So it depends what type. Let me know what type of articles you're pushing, and I'll be able to give you. You've got it's a lawyer website and you're creating wills. I would probably imagine FAQ schema, because people, when it comes to legal things and wills, are probably asking questions like, around about wills and legal things, because again, it's a subject that none of us really know that much about. And I think the search for that type of thing would be more question related. So I'm going to say FAQ schema as a guess, purely because I've not actually seen the website. But FAQ schema, and trying to grab as much of those little, answer FAQ boxes, or whatever you want to call them, would be best for me. I think, that's what I'd be doing there. So hopefully that helps you. Gary Patterson, have you seen changes with GMB verifications being suspended more frequently? Yes, people are talking about suspensions left, right, and centre. I'm not hugely big on the GMB niche as such. I think that there's guys out there who make a lot of money and do have hundreds of these, and any kind of change is just getting you suspended, or any kind of spam. So they are clamping down on it. And I'm not sure what the reason is, but yeah, it's happening. And what I would say to anyone would be to kind of just leave them alone just now. Don't fuck around with them, because that is where the suspensions are coming, until we understand why these suspensions and everything else are happening. But yeah, hopefully they do stop doing that, because I know it is impacting a lot of people. And of course, Gordon. So yeah, for maybe, as I say, a lot of people will have different objectives for 2021, but I think learning more and implementing, taking action has got to be the focus. Facebook user, should we start to focus on voice search and somehow optimizing for voice search? I think future-proofing your business, and is voice search going to be as big as people may think it might be? And I think it will. People are using Alexa and all of these kind of things, and I think you would want to optimize for it. I think with anything, you're always wanting to future-proof your business, future-proof your website, and try and add these things to it. It's the same as schema, taking up more of the landscape and all that kind of stuff. People are just sometimes late to the party with these things, but I think you've got to try and do it and try and future-proof things and make your website the best it can be. And optimizing for voice search is definitely one that I do think. I think people have been talking about it for years, but I've not particularly taken that much action on it, because I didn't think that voice search was going to be that big, and probably isn't that big just yet. Maybe it's not going as fast as people may have thought, if you like. But more and more people are getting Alexa at home. More and more people are shouting into the phone there with Siri and stuff like that. And those statistics are going to continue to grow. So definitely jump on it, man. I would say it would be a wise thing to do. What's the most awesome up-and-coming SEO summit? Affiliate World Conference was last week, just that week gone there. Nah, I'm only kidding. So Mads has a conference on at the end of the month. Mads, feel free to share the URL in the chat. Now, at this particular conference, you are able to see I'm going to be there, Matt Diggety's going to be there, Daryl Rosser, Mads, and a whole bunch of other top speakers are all going to be at this online conference. And I think, obviously, Mads, because of who he knows and stuff like that, is able to pull together quite a good conference, which will also be sponsored by odys.global. But yeah, it's going to be a good online conference. I'm going to be talking a bit about CTR manipulation, and I'm doing a second talk to talk about age domains and all that kind of thing. So I will be talking twice there. There will be a lot of knowledge bombs from a whole bunch of different speakers. I think there's, is there up to 40 speakers, Mads? Can't remember the exact amount, but a whole bunch of really good speakers. So I would certainly say to anyone who's looking to learn, this is a great opportunity for you. And Mads will share your link, or the link to his summit in the live chat. So Mads, give yourself a plug in there, and I will share it on the screen as well. Christian Hall, just Christian. So I don't want to offend anyone by saying the surname wrong. How to prioritize technical SEO issues for large websites. I think, you know, any large website is going to have technical issues. For me, I would be prioritizing them in terms of what I feel is most important, you know, in terms of what those issues are. You know, what is going to have the biggest impact in SEO? You know, would it be, for example, you know, if we're talking about doing a site audit and you've got a whole bunch of 404s and no one done the redirects against tagging some of your images, then of course fix the redirects. I think you've got to do it in terms of what's important for the search engines and for the users, and then tackle the kind of stuff that, you know, that would be a hell of a lot less technical, and have the least amount of impact. You know, do that stuff last. So that's how I would do it, is, you know, in my head, you know, if there was duplicate content issues or technical issues or you know, cannibalization issues or canonicalization issues, then, you know, these are all things that you'd want to tackle. You know, anything that's broken or anything that's having a detrimental effect on your positions, you would want to make sure that that's ironed out first and foremost before any of the kind of minor things. So yeah. So yeah, that's how I would do that. So Gerald Buckley, what tools are you liking these days and why? I'm loving POP, and I'll tell you why I love Page Optimizer Pro. Page Optimizer, so many people, whether they do affiliate marketing, whether they're doing local SEO or whatever, will come to me and they'll say things like, "Hi man, you know, I've done all this work and I'm not really ranking." And then you look at their content using a tool like Page Optimizer Pro, and you're like, well, what kind of work is it you're claiming to have done? You know, your content is massively fell short in terms of what everyone else in page one has got. You don't have the right amount of keywords or all, you know, related keywords. You don't have any real heading tags or subheadings. And I think that tool really gives you a process or a template to write content for a given keyword. Now, again, I know a lot of guys who do affiliate and they'll just say, yeah, go and write me 1,000 words or, you know, on this topic. Just like that, you know, they don't even think about it. And I think any given keyword will have different amounts of words that or different amounts of content lengths that are required to rank well. And that's good on page SEO. And I think you always have to start with the basics and make sure that your on page is on point. And I think POP is a great tool for that. It's only $40 a month. You can run it through. It compares your content to that of the top 10. And obviously, Google love that top 10 search results anyway. And it gives you an idea of how much content you need to do, how many subheadings you need to do, what questions are asked around that topic, what other words should you be using within your content to give Google a bigger picture and allow you to rank for more keywords. So POP is one tool. But there's loads of tools. You know, I'm doing a lot of CTR stuff, and I'm using CTR Booster. I'm using Micro Workers. I use Ahrefs and SEMrush for, you know, research, and SEO Autopilot for you know, some Web 2.0s. So that's just some of the tools that I'm using. But there's tools pretty much for everything, if I'm being honest. But I think the content writing one's really important. So POP just now, I think it's been around for years. It's a gem, though. It's a real gem because people are still sloppy when it comes to content and on page. Paul Hogden, how important are silos? I.e., do you need to do it, or is it icing in the cake? Really depends on your website, Paul. I think for large websites, it's really important. E-com and stuff like that, when you're going to have 1,000 pages or more, or whatever you might have. I think when it's less, then is it that important? Probably not as important. You can still have a website like mine, which I started out with no silo, and I'm just now not changing it because I don't want it to have a detrimental impact on what I've got. Obviously, my website's growing all the time, but sometimes you're just, is it worth me changing and having that dip in the rankings for the difference that it makes? So are they important? Really, probably not for me, but yeah, I think they are important. And I think if you can start out with the right base, and if I could go back and start again, of course, I would have a much better, have a silo structure. But I wouldn't say you need it 100% unless you're a big website. Then I think it is really important. But yeah, so it depends, on the website there, Paul. I've got away with it for now. Probably should change it, but as I say, it's just that, should I change it? Should I not? What's the reward going to be? And yeah, as I say, best practice, have a good silo structure, and that's it. Hassan, kindly share some tips on e-commerce website SEO. I mean, good tips is to make sure that you understand the technical side of SEO, or not just the technical side, like in terms of crawling and blocking specific pages out and whatnot. Now, again, with an e-com website, you might want to rank for black shoes, right? Like black shoes. And these black shoes come in a size 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And obviously, they've all got different URLs for the 6, the 7, the 8, the 9, and the 10. Does the size 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 all need to get crawled and indexed? Absolutely no. And a lot of these are common mistakes with e-commerce SEO. And I think you have to tidy up that stuff, because then, Google doesn't know what page to rank, because it's all, cannibalizing against each other and things like that. So I think a good silo structure, as we just spoke about there, for an e-commerce website, making sure that you filter out the pages that are not designed to rank well, product variations and that type of thing. And the rest of it's pretty similar to SEO in general. I think you've just got to have good on page. Make sure you've got good landing pages for the keywords that you're targeting. E-commerce SEO slightly more difficult, if you like, because obviously you've got category pages, you've got product pages, and your product pages are not going to be padded out with hundreds of content, purely because you don't need to. You can rank very well for a product, with a small amount of content. But those category pages, and where you place that content, and whether you have a read more to open out more text, or whatever you want to show Google, you have to work those things better, because a lot of guys just want to show the products, and they don't. It's getting that balance between showing Google enough content to get it to rank, and obviously having it good from a user experience point of view. And I think that small little part there is the key part to get right. So hopefully those little tips help you. Of course, your on page, your link building, technical speed, and all that stuff is also really important from e-commerce, an e-commerce point of view. Also, you've got the kind of user experience, or the upsell options and all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure all of that's on point. And I think one other thing when it comes to e-commerce, because it's such a big website, is your internal linking structure is really, really important, to make sure that those power pages are internally linked throughout the website. So there you go. Dean Christopher, Video Maker, best way to get listed organically. I think, in terms of organically, good content, share it in your socials, Doing good on page is a great start, as I've said there, using POP and everything else. Make sure that you're doing the basics right first and foremost, and then start to look at your link building activity and stuff like that. But too many people think more about links and maybe forget the on-page side of things. You've got to have that foundation right. And that is the key part in that process, is just getting the basics done properly. And I think that's what a lot of people are thinking about all of this other stuff, optimizing for voice search, schema, blah, blah, blah. Get the basics done properly. Make sure that you have good content and make sure that it's unique and that content does rank well, not just for 3 keywords. Make sure it ranks for 33 or 103 or whatever it might be. So do better on page, is what I would say. And I genuinely just don't believe people are doing it that well. Jesper Neeson, good point with the FAQ schema. Yeah, definitely. Be interested to know if that has the desired impact. So do let us know in a future show. But yeah, good luck with it. Ashton Lobo, hey Craig, good to see you. I came across this site through pick.iin, which ranks really well with low authority. Could you share as to what must be working? Through pick.in. Second, I'll have a quick look and I'll determine whether, right, so let's get a DR of 0. Right, so I'm going to share my screen, guys, just so that you can see what the hell I'm looking at. So this website doesn't look particularly good, but you can see the nice bit of growth I've got here, going from 3,000 hits up to 20 odd thousand in such a short period of time is always good. And obviously you can see a similar growth in terms of the keywords. Right, so they're going after keywords like Tamil rockers, which is bringing in a whole lot of traffic. But also what they're doing is best treadmill in India, and stuff like that. Now, I wouldn't imagine keyword difficulty here is all low. So they basically found some good niche keywords like best home theater system in India, which is a keyword difficulty of 4, which is garbage, really, really low. But also, even the likes of best treadmill brands in India, 900 searches, and it's got a keyword difficulty of 5. So I think you could rank for a lot of this stuff on content alone. And obviously this Tamil rockers, it's only a keyword difficulty of 30. Again, that's not huge, but it's bringing in a lot of traffic. And of course, TamilRockers.com, they're going after someone's brand, and it's bringing in a whole bunch of traffic, although it's only in position 13. So it's probably just, low competition keywords these guys are going for. There's nothing special going on here. They're not building any kind of great backlinks that are improving their DR. Their traffic value is not actually that high. So they're going after a lot of keywords, but they're not that difficult. So probably going after it in content alone. In terms of referring domains, again, they've got a handful of good domains there. I wouldn't classify anything under DR 30 good. So they've got 5 or 6 good referring domains. The rest of it's all junk that they've got. So it's all crappy link building that they're doing. And, if that's what it takes to rank for those keywords, then so be it. It's just real low competition, real garbage stuff there. And I don't particularly think that it's a great looking website either. So I don't see that as being amazing work as such. They've probably just found a niche and that's it. So hopefully that helps. What parameters should one consider while buying guest posts? You want to buy relevant guest posts. You want to buy guest posts that are not saturated to death. You want to make sure that those guest posts come from websites that actually do have rankings and traffic. That passes more juice, and obviously try and get something that's got some a decent DR score or DA or whatever metric you use. Does the score make a difference? Now, DR is the third-party metric, and it's not something that Google takes into account. However, I think, having a look and you see a DR60, is a DR60 website more powerful than a DR30? Of course it is, and it's a guide to let us know what's more powerful. I would be looking for a DR60 before a DR30. So does the score make a difference? Not to Google, but for me to know whether a website's more authoritative, then yes, I think the score does make a difference. So that's how I look at it. Moneymaker, I'm going up against the big boys in the luggage business. What would be the quickest, easiest way to rank for keywords? Much appreciated. The big boys in the luggage business, right? So let me have a look, Moneymaker, right now. In fact, I'll do this with you privately, because I don't want to, in case we unravel it's an easy niche or something, or whatever. I don't want to do it publicly, so I'll get to you right after this show. I promise I will get right to you. If not, then well, I will. I'm not. It's not going to be a not, but yeah. But yeah. So there you go. Best of Amazon. Hello, sir. My site is regarding an Amazon affiliate. It's 8 months old, having 25 articles. Only one article is ranked at second and third position, but no other article is ranking, not even at page 2. You're going to have to look at your content. If your articles are not ranking, then you're going to have to figure out why. Is the content the best it can be? Use POP to analyze that content. Check that the content's not duplicated. Use copyscape.com to try that out. You're going to have to reverse engineer what's been done, because it's quite clearly not good enough and not ranking well. If you do come here and say, well, POP, I've got a score of 100 and it's all unique content, then you're not doing link building or whatever. So there's something that you're not doing properly there. That no one's entitled to rank in position 1, 2, or 3, but when you're throwing articles out there, you're going to have to, you'd expect to be in page 2, page 3, page 4 for certain keywords. And if that's not happening, then you need to look at why that's happening. And are you building backlinks, or is it content only? And if it is content only and you're expecting better rankings, then you're going to have to ask yourself questions on who's writing that content and whether it's good enough, and whether it's optimized enough, and how you can make free backlinks to push it. Budget issue. Listen, there's no special trick to getting free backlinks. Backlinks cost money regardless of where you go. Whether you go to a mummy blogger, whether you buy crap links from Fiverr, they all cost money. There's no such thing as good free backlinks unless you've got an amazing article or case study or some other way of being able to attract natural links. Then you're simply going to have to pay. I'm not aware of any good free backlinks that are out there, and I'm not being funny when I say that. There is no such thing. So budget's an issue, and you're going to have to find that budget somehow. There's no anywhere in between where there's a magic place we can go to get this, free backlinks. You either find the budget, or you go after longer tail keywords and try and rank that way to then try and get some revenue in that you should then reinvest into buying the links that everyone else has to buy, or acquire, or whatever way you want to call it. Whether you buy PR or whatever, it's all the same thing. Mads, show your link, and we will get to that shortly. I'm just going to see if he has put it in yet. Mads. He does have 40 speakers. Mads, share the link. I'll get the link for you, because I don't know if Mads is buggered off. I'll get the link for Mads' conference, because I know he tagged me in it day on Facebook. Be 1 second, guys. Keep asking your questions though. And here we go. So I'm going to put Mads's conference link into the live chat for anyone who wants to attend. You can claim your free ticket. So here it is. Let's just get into the live chat just now. I will put it up on the screen. So for Mads's conference, and there you go, SEOmasterysummit.com. Make sure that you do join in. It will be a good one. But back to the question. Silva Prasad, except citations, what other link building strategies need to concentrate on improving legal business GMB positions? So citations, if you've already done them, assuming you've done them properly and you know you've got more citations than your competition, then it all comes down to click-through rate and engagement on your GMB positions. You need to get local people clicking on that stuff, engaging with it, looking at your images, asking for directions, and a whole bunch of that kind of thing, because those engagement signals really will show Google that your GMB is more important than the next one. But when it comes to citations, and an area where a lot of people make mistakes is they submit the same garbage to 100 directories, for example, and it's all copied and pasted and all that stuff, and it's not unique enough so that, you know, maybe 2 or 3 of those citations actually are indexed, and therefore your 100 citations is actually only really 3 from Google. So you want to make sure that they are spun, they are indexed. You'll submit them to an indexer and make sure that you get as many of those citations indexed as you possibly can. Knowledge bombastic at Mads. Don't give him a big ego, please, Paul. Agency hacker. Who's the best NBA history? NBA player in history? Scottie Pippen, in my opinion. I know people say Michael Jordan, but I liked Scottie Pippen. Don't ask me why. I just thought he was a great player, and yeah, he was my favourite, and I've got a few Chicago Bulls tops with Scottie Pippen's name on it. But yeah, he was the man. Obviously, Michael Jordan and that whole team, you know, obviously were really good. But I don't know why, but I prefer, although I love Scottie Pippen and Chicago Bulls, I like the New York Knicks, as you can see. I don't know why. I just like the colours of New York Knicks, to be honest. But they are my favourite team, so hopefully that gives some people something to talk about. But Clark Duncan, voice search is huge with my 5-year-old. He has Alexa and Siri finding out all the kids' things for him. Has Alexa to tell him what everything is in English, in Spanish, and Chinese for some reason. So yeah, I think it will be getting bigger and bigger. And it's not a bad thing, Clark. You know what it's like in Scotland. Amazing that your kid can actually speak or even try and attempt to speak a number of different languages, where guys like me can only, you know, barely even speak English, never mind, you know, can think about anything else. CBD Cakes has 9 FAQs on a SERP, thanks to Craig. Thanks to yourself, mate. You took the action. And yeah, those FAQs are something worth doing. Spud Web Agency hacker. Hassan, are backlinks like directory, article listings, Web 2.0, blog comments, forums still work? I'm not going to say they don't work. I mean, certainly directories and citations do work for GMBs. Article listings, Web 2.0s can certainly form part of a spammy backlink profile or powering up a guest post. Blog comments, I think, and forums can help drive traffic, click-through rate, and stuff like that. Now, on blog comments, now I'm going to focus on that one. You'd be surprised. So blog comments used to work years ago. Then they really didn't work. Do they have any impact now? All I would say is try it and see. I think there's some benefits to blog comments. But hey ho, people say, oh, it's an old one. I think sometimes somehow we've come back to full circle. And do blog comments have any impact? All I would say is try it. I certainly would agree that blog comments do have some impact. So there you go. What are the main factors one should look at while conducting a site audit? There's no main factors to look at. The site audit will tell you what to look at. So it's not like you should be looking out for something. The audit is there to determine what is wrong with the website. And every website is different. So it's not a case of look out for this or look out for that, or look out and see if you're, if you've done your redirects properly or whatever. That's the purpose of doing the audit in the first place. And that will highlight what the things or the main factors are to get your website better. So it's not, there's no website's the same. There's no main factors to look for. Every website's different. It's been built by different people, different platforms and all that stuff. So I wouldn't say look out for any main factor. Just address the problems, as per what's in front of you. Spudweb was amazing for his height, defied gravity. I'm not sure I know of Spudweb, actually. I don't know if that was before my time, but yeah. But anyone who's interested in NBA, I think you should watch that documentary. It was on Netflix about Chicago Bulls. It was really good. It was really good. Paul Hogden, Canonical Pixel would be the name of my next child. Quite a good name. Can you talk about silo and cluster? I can't wrap my head around it. I mean, it's a topic on its own, and we've got 18 minutes left. What I'll do is I'll make a video on it and release it to my YouTube channel over the weekend, because for a Q&A session, I'm only at 18. Your question was asked at 18 minutes past 1. I've got a lot of other quick questions I want to try and go through, rather than spend the rest of the webinar on talking about silos and all that stuff. But I will do a video on it, because I think lots of people are asking about it. But it's not something that I can just give you a quick 2-minute answer on. Creating a silo structure and keyword clusters and everything else, I think, is better coming in, a 10, 15-minute video tutorial, or 20 minutes, or whatever it takes me to explain that in detail. So I will do that, Craig. I'll definitely do that and release it over the weekend. Sharif, does digital marketing job can be replaced by artificial intelligence in the near future? I don't think so. I think you need the manual hands to do a lot of this stuff. Obviously, AI and stuff like that can help scale and do certain things, but we still need human beings to oversee or manage that process. Christian, would I recommend Page Optimizer Pro over Surfer? They're both great tools. It just really comes down to personal preference, really. I mean, I think they're both very similar. They both give you a guide. It's a difficult one. I like both Kyle Roof, and I do like the guys at Surfer. So choose whatever one you like better. What I would say is potentially, I'm not even going to say it. Use whatever one you think's best. I think they both do a great job, and obviously, if you want something a bit more advanced, then Cora is the all singing, all dancing, really technical version. But these two do a grand job, and I don't want to sit here and say one's greater than the other, because I think they both do a great job, and don't want to be slacking anyone's stuff off, because they, as I say, genuinely believe they both do a good job. Jagadish, which content writing tool do you suggest that writes and optimizes existing content of a website and blog? I don't know of any content writing tool that does that and does it to any great standard. So if you know of one, please feel free to share it with me. But I do not know of a tool that writes your content and optimizes the content for you. Not yet, anyway, unless I'm missing a trick. Agency Hacker, what weight of importance would you place in visual assets for successful CTR versus content? I mean, I think it's very hard to take. We can't argue the point that people do like visual stuff a lot better than they do reading hordes of content. So I think the visual assets are probably more important than right. So I'm going to say something that's a horrible question, by the way, Bradley, because I can easily sit here and say probably in a personal level that visual assets are probably more important from a click-through rate point of view and an engagement point of view, which I would be right on. But of course, we can't argue that because content is what Google likes, so you need the balance of both. But yeah, fuck it. I'm going to see it. I'll put my neck in the line. I would say the visual part. I think, from me personally, I'd rather much look at nice visuals than read hordes of text. That's why I do a lot more videos than writing hundreds of blog posts. So I think people are becoming more visual. I think it gets more engagement. It gets more clicks. It's just a lot more pleasing in the eye. So visual assets all the way. But I'm not crazy enough to think that content doesn't play a part in marketing and digital. That's equally as important. So don't take that the wrong way, guys. Earlier, I mentioned CTR manipulation tools. Which one did you find had the best results? So I don't think there was any one tool that actually gave me great results as such. I think I used Facebook paid ads just so that I was getting different IP addresses and real people that were interested in what I had to say, obviously using demographics and interests and all that to get people. Now, I use CTR Booster mainly to get the watch time or the length of time on page. Obviously, it's using proxies and it looks like different people and all that kind of stuff as well. So I think that is important. But I think the main thing here is not the tools that work. I think, the reason that I use micro workers and Facebook ads and that type of thing, I think the real key thing here is not the tools, it's getting real people or what seems to be real people onto the page or the video or whatever you're trying to do CTR with. And when it comes to the tools, it's not the tools that are broke. I think it's more you need to use the right proxies and that type of thing. So, using mobile proxies or whether you actually use a physical phone, like Holly Starks is running around with hundreds of phones, what works better, a tool or her having 100 phones? In terms of click-through rate and, different IP addresses and all of that kind of stuff, of course the 100 phones is going to work a lot better. So it's not, but it's obviously a lot more difficult to manage that. Everything needs to be done manually. So I think as marketers, we want to automate stuff, and the tools can automate stuff and do things that we want it to do, but it really boils down to the proxies and everything else that you use. Obviously, I've tried residential rotating proxies for CTR. I've tried mobile proxies. I've tried, the run-of-the-mill crappy proxies that are out there. And I think, people, and then we jump onto Android emulators and we're trying to do stuff there. And I think for me, it's the technology behind it, including the proxies, that are the key component. And those are the ones that have the best results. But nothing is going to beat real traffic hitting your pages. So I think the tools are great. Do they work that well, or is Google able to identify certain things? I think Google are probably able to identify certain tools and certain IP ranges and all of that stuff. So I think that's why you've got to mix it up with a balance of paid Facebook traffic, micro workers, and various other bits and bobs. So hopefully that answers your question. Dean, Hi Craig, Northern UK dude here. Good to have another Northern person. Would you still use iframe stacking, let's say from some legit like Semantic Mastery? I used them a few times years ago, but not since. If they are done properly, then yes, that can work very well for you. So yeah, I mean, there's rights and wrong ways to do everything, and you know, people talk about Google stacks and iframe stacks, or even using PBNs, and some people say it works a treat, other people say no, it doesn't. It's a lot of shite. I've tried it. I think it's how you do it, and the way that you set that up is going to determine the success. And I think that is, you know, I'd certainly be something that I would be doing to some degree, but I just wouldn't make it everything that I was doing basically. Also, would you rate Google News sites or say they are newer, better way to leverage Google properties? I'm still using Google News websites, and you know, I think there's not anything at the moment that I would say, you know, it can replace that just now. Obviously, people are buying up Google News websites and doing things in a much bigger scale. And obviously, Google now don't allow every single website into the kind of Google News feature and stuff like that because people are spamming it to death. But the ones that are there and the ones that do get that traction still work very well. So I think you've just got to, again, it's one of those things, anything works, people jump all over it and try and rip the piss out it, and eventually it will probably become defunct. So I think we've always got to look for alternatives, but I'm not aware of any newer, better ways to leverage Google properties as such. I think, you know, we're all doing the same thing just now, Google News sites and Google Stacks and all that kind of stuff. And people are still doing that and rinsing it to death, but there's nothing there to replace that I know of just yet anyway. But again, I may be missing a trick. Junior, great insights. Yes, it was a pleasure, Junior. A very short interview, guys, on LinkedIn with Junior. He also has a great other guests like Linda Plant from The Apprentice. Check out Junior Stewart on LinkedIn. Does some great interviews with some great people, including Linda Plant from The Apprentice, who is the insane interrogator, and I'm actually quite scared of Linda myself. I'm not going to lie, Junior. So, yeah, it was a pleasure, mate, and would love to do it again sometime. And thanks for coming along here. The Wild, hi. Hope you're doing well as well. Theo, any reasons why a UK-based service business would be showing a high percentage of UK visitors, even when the UK hosting is based? The hosting is based in the UK. So you're going to have to reverse engineer this, Theo, and I'll have a little look for you just now. I'm not going to share the website though, because that wouldn't be fair. But Theo, can you just WhatsApp me the URL again, and I'll have a look at it, and then I'll come back to it. So message me that and I'll have a look and I'll give you an answer. I'll go on and ask some other questions until you WhatsApp that. Lee Wild, is SEO keyword research technique the same as PPC? It's similar. You know, you've obviously, whether it's SEO or whether it's pay-per-click, you've got to try and pick the best choice of keywords. So they're very, very similar. We use the same tools and stuff like that. But your strategy, you know, really comes, in terms of pay-per-click, really comes down to budget. So SEO-wise, of course, we want to go after the keywords that have high search volume. But if you've only got £1,000 a month for pay-per-click, you might have to go for lower keywords. So it's not exactly the same. You know, you might have to look at it differently. You know, we, as SEOs, want to rank for the biggest, most powerful keywords. But sometimes if the budget doesn't allow, we would go after, you know, lower or medium competition keywords. And it's the same as pay-per-click. It really is budget dependent. But what we want to try and do is get as much converting traffic for a pay-per-click budget as we possibly can. And sometimes you need to look at the lower end of the scale for that. But back to Theo. Theo has WhatsApped me the website. So I'm just going to have a quick look, Theo. Now, guys, Theo is a guy that I know, he's based in the UK, and he is doing some local SEO. And what he's finding is that for what he's doing, he's hosted in the UK and stuff like that, but he's starting to get traffic coming from America and not the UK. So I'm going to try and have a look why. One of the things I did say to him was, are you hosted in the UK? And he is. Now, looking at Ahrefs deal, I'm seeing that most of your keywords that rank are in the UK and not America. So yeah, I think you're on point. To be fair, your keywords are growing. It's a very new project. You don't have a huge amount of referring domains, but if you go into Ahrefs, you'll see that most of your keywords do actually rank in the UK. So where are you getting that US stuff is coming from? Because I can only see on here you're only ranking for 2 keywords in the US. So and that can happen. You might get a small amount of it, but I wouldn't be concerned at all here. I think that most of your keywords are pulling through for the UK, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I'll talk to you after this on that. What metrics would you consider most important when creating a tier 2 PBN? This is up for much debate, Andre. A link is a link when it comes to tier 2. Is relevance that important, or is it more power? And I would say, as it stands right now, a link is a link when it comes to tier 2 link building. I really don't give a shit about relevance or anything else. SAP links and all that kind of stuff, I'm quite happy to use for the sheer power of it. But what I would say is that one day those links can be devalued, or Google, as it stands, as I say, a link is a link, and relevance, to your money website is important. But when it comes to tier 2 and everything else, I don't think relevance is that important. I'm just looking for sheer power, and that works very well for now. Now, will that change? Potentially, yes. Will tier 2 links and any other tiered links have to be more relevant? The answer is probably yes. So as good practice, and again, for future-proofing your business, you would want to probably try and get any kind of tier 2 links to be kind of relevant, have traffic, and obviously have decent domain metrics. These are the kind of things that you would look for from a guest post, and I think it would be a good standard to have, even when you're looking for tier 2 links. But as I say, who's doing that just now? Not many people. People are still, getting a guest post and then blasting SAP links or Web 2.0s, or whatever you determine, or PBNs, or whatever you want to do, and try and pass that power to the guest post, which is then powering up your website. So I don't think relevance is that important for now. So hopefully that answers your question. Raja, I've answered that one. Andre, do you prefer redirecting high DR domains to an inner page or to the home page? Both, to be fair. If it's to an inner page that I really want to do well, then I don't see any reason why you wouldn't redirect it to your inner page. Don't redirect everything to your homepage. Pass power to certain sections in your website. If it's more relevant, for example, I do SEO, right? Now, if I found a really good SEO training domain and I was going to redirect it, I would redirect that to my training section rather than the homepage, just because it's the most relevant section to do so. So that's how I look at it. Pratik, is it possible to rank keywords using the Wix platform? Yes. I mean, I'm not going to say that Wix is the best platform in the world for SEO. Definitely not. I think that it does have certain restrictions, but people can have success. I think Wix have potentially got better, in terms of SEO capabilities and stuff like that. And I think people have had success with that. So there you go. Is it a good idea to go for citations in different geolocations for a site? I would try and keep your citations geographic location specific, niche specific, and of course have a couple of general powerful business ones. But I think not in different geolocations. I think you want to try and keep it, to the location that you're actually operating in. I think that will stand you in much more good stead. David Moore, ScottishPippin.com. That has a nice ring to it. I could work with that. Colin Manson, why are all the best SEOs from Scotland? Scotland has the best everything. Best tennis players, best football managers, best everything, man. It's just the better race. Nah, I'm only kidding, by the way, before anyone jumps on me. Guys, there is a few more questions, and I will answer them, but make sure you do give me a like and subscribe. Good morning, Randy Roday. Do you have a dedicated machine running CTR Booster? I have a virtual computer running CTR Booster, Mr. Roday, so that it runs 24/7. I do have a dedicated machine that used to do it, but obviously I don't like leaving my laptop on overnight and all that stuff. So I used to have a virtual computer. I then had a dedicated gaming laptop to do this, but the laptop was getting hot and a bit burnt out. So I've now recently reverted back to a virtual computer because I don't really like leaving a laptop on overnight. And I'm running CTR Booster, SEO Autopilot, Money Robot, and various other tools on that computer. And I know you're not, Bradley. I know you weren't trying to put me in the spot. But it was a tricky question, that one. It was. But yeah, appreciate the kind words, Bradley, as always. Do check out the Agency Hacker channel as well. He does provide a wealth of information on there, and is bonkers is the nicest word I can see, in a good way. I love Big Bradley, great guy. Top of the morning, Craig. What is the best way or services to help CTR for local GMB? So I basically I do it myself. I would use local forums, local Gumtree, local Facebook groups, paid Facebook ads, paid core ads, even some AdWords to help get that click-through rate and engagement on your GMB. Now, I have also said to people that I know, like, get your colleagues, your friends, and all that kind of stuff to like click directions and drive to the GMB location and all that stuff. And that's what Holly Starks does. She's got hundreds of phones and drives to locations and does all that kind of click-through ratey stuff. And that is what gives her that engagement, which then means she dominates GMBs. So I wouldn't say I don't know anyone that does it as a service. I think you're just better doing it yourself, and that way it's done and it's not that expensive to do. So running low cost ads. Now, you don't have to send hundreds or thousands. Sometimes, just sending 50 clicks to that is going to be more than the competition gets, and you'll see it rising up. So don't think that you have to run big bucks at this kind of stuff. Run a low cost Facebook ads campaign and try and just get it done over a 30-day period, and you will see some decent results. How am I utilizing Google News sites exactly? This is Randy, who would love another plug. So Randy does some PR stuff for me, and you buy a gig from Randy, or you can approach him on here or whatever you want to do. And he is a PR guy that submits your websites and gets you in the Google News. He has good websites that I'm not sure he owns them, but somehow he's got access to them or whatever goes on. And that is what you want to do. Try and get yourself all over that Google News. Lee Wild, thank you for your comment and keyword research strategies. No problem at all, Lee Wild. Always a pleasure. Craig, do I offer training? Yes, I do training, consultancy calls, Zoom calls, in-person training, whatever you need, I can help you with. Just reach out to me on Facebook or come through my website, craigcampbellseo.com, and we can talk about that. Colin Manson, agreed, ex-Stirling man. Stirling, just outside Glasgow, great people. But yeah, Scott Andy Murray comes from Stirling, guys. So great tennis player. So Scotland do have some good people and good whiskey, but real bad weather. But sadly, guys, we are out of time. I am going to have to go and make sure that I keep Moneymaker happy. I will jump over and answer your email right now, and make sure that I get that done. And again, apologies for not doing it sooner. I stupidly shouldn't promise what I am not able to deliver, because I've, as I say, got a crazy brain and forget about it. But I will get back to you. But thanks very much, guys. And I will catch you all again next week on one of the shows. Cheers. Thank you.